I promise to teach you how to outperform anyone on an aptitude test, no matter how talented they are. Your quality of performance depends on three factors: the knowledge you carry, the amount of practice you have done, and the talent you have. The innate talent is the least important part. When time is a constraint and speed has to be very high, then the practice gets an exaggerated amount of priority. Practice becomes the most important thing. To make practice your strength, we introduce our signature tool, the Generons. Let me start with an experience. The first aptitude test I took was more than a decade ago. I marked 12 out of 15 correct. One of the three questions that I went wrong was, at what time between 7 and 8 o'clock do hands of the clock overlap? When hands of the clock overlap between 7 and 8 o'clock, I knew it was somewhere between 7:35 and 7:40. But I did not know the exact value of time. I could not mark it, the options were closed. But now if you ask me at what time hands of the clock overlap, by the time you say overlap, I would have all the possible options in my mind, because the number of values possible are limited, the number of spaces are limited. So all the answers will be in my mind. This is the power of practice. Practice takes a long time, but then with Generons, you can instantly observe the pattern. Practice much quicker. What takes 3 hours would take 3 minutes. That is a multiplication factor of 60. You are 60 times faster. It is observed that with 10,000 hours of practice, you will be the top performer in your direction in the whole planet. For 10,000 hours with an acceleration of 60x, what you need is 10,000 divided by 60, which is 166.67. With less than 180 hours of practice, you could be the top performer of an aptitude test on the planet. What I have to introduce to you is a complete aptitude course. It is extensively built with Generons and videos where I explain the concept as clearly as possible, and then show you patterns with which you can reduce the time in which you answer a question. So patterns are the most important tool with which we answer questions very quickly. The course also has a studio which shows how well you have been performing. And the Generons we have do not just play with numbers. There are a variety of Generons. Those that play with letters, those that play with drop downs, with keywords in the drop down, those that play with change button where the whole question is changed to make sure you have learned it well and you have understood how to crack it. So along with that, we also show you your behavior when you practiced and when you did not, so you can keep track of how much work you are doing and at what time you are working. Remembering is fun. So in my videos, I've put as many memory techniques as possible for calendars to remember the year code. I have a rhyme. We use fingers, interestingly, to find reminders. We use fingers to keep track of some calculation that we've got, some result, some part result, and then do the remaining calculation, then see what is on our finger and then put them together. Like that, we have made memory fun. We also encourage you to build analogies so that you remember the techniques that you receive or create. We fundamentally work based on the principle of TEFCAS, which means that there's no failure. What you get is only feedback. If you can check and adjust, you will succeed definitely. You will succeed in questioning properly. You will succeed in answering properly. Neural patterning is a principle based on which the brain enjoys to remember what is told. Haphazardly telling directions is one way of doing it, or telling it as a pattern like left, right, makes it easier for the brain to remember. That is the power of patterns. I can tell at what time hands of the clock overlap at any given time because I know the pattern. Patterning is fundamental to you being able to crack things in speed. Our application is exclusively built for you to create patterns in all the topics, in all the directions possible. We also have a basic course add-on for students interested in trying to calculate differently, calculate better. Divide by 8 would be take half and half and half. Multiply by 11 would be add the numbers and put them in between. Division by 9 would be write the number below, add it with the next number, and so on. There are so many techniques like that. You can add from left, you can add from right, you can subtract from left, you can subtract from right, you can multiply from left hand side, right hand side. There are so many things to be done. So to be able to do all that, and since they are fundamentals, we are putting them together into another simple course which is given as an add-on to the complete aptitude course, and that we call the basic aptitude course. Enjoy, have a great time learning.